What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. That's the most annoying guy on the planet, Colby Cohen, and I'm Jonny Lazarus, and we have a great doubleheader of guests today with Elliotte Friedman hopping on in about 15 minutes, and Pete Blackburn, I think, making his show debut after what Chaos announced yesterday that they will be joining the Nation Network family. So very happy to have Pete and DJ as a part of our little gang here over at Nation Network. So really excited to hear from Pete. Obviously, there's a lot of buildup for Pete and honestly for today because tonight is Brad Marchand's return to Boston. So I'm sure that's going to be the game to watch tonight between the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins. But before I continue to ramble, Colby, I've never seen you smile like that before, and it's freaking me out.
Well, I knew that I was just in your head last night as
you were so annoying.
You're trying to enjoy the Ranger game, and I was just all over you. And again, you told me I needed to tweet more, so I didn't realize that I wasn't allowed to tweet at you. You didn't give me any parameters, Jonny.
Well, yeah, all I was doing last night, every time I'd go to Twitter when something happened in the Ranger game, I just see Colby in my mentions talking about Igor's contract, talking about Lafreniere and Cooley and all these things. So Colby was in full troll mode last night, let's call it. But there are a lot of things to talk about still. Not as many games last night as we do have tonight. Like tomorrow will be a big show with all the games that are happening tonight. 10 games. It'll be a dual screen night for me. Obviously it's hard to watch most games when I'm at the Ranger games, but anything that you wanted to lead off with? I mean, I know Montreal, another big bounce back win over Buffalo. John Forslund had a great call last night for Prime. You want to start there?
So this just came to me. Yeah, let's talk about that game. And it's funny because you know how there's always like in the playoffs, everybody when you can on ESPN Plus, when you can choose from either broadcast, it always shines light onto the fact that the Canadian broadcasts have they figure out how to make the crowd noise and the sound of the game so much better. For whatever reason, when I first clicked onto the Sabres Montreal game, it went right to the MSG feed, and I was like, "Well, wait, it didn't even offer me the Prime feed." So I had to like go back and like basically I just missed a setting. And then I put on the game on the Prime feed, and it was just like, whoa, you could really like feel the energy in the building in Montreal. And so give those guys a little bit of love because it does seem like the Canadian broadcasts find a way to get you the atmosphere through your TV a lot better. And I got to say, Montreal, man, they're fun. I mean, I'll give Buffalo a little bit of love because they stayed in the game. They really did. I mean, they had some pushes in the game. They didn't quit. They did seem like they were playing with a little bit more edge and playing through guys more. And it didn't seem like a defeated we give up group. They just lost to a better team. And then on the flip side, Ivan Demidov, man, his ability to accelerate and his quickness in tight, he's I mean, I know he's a good player right now, but he really does have the potential to be like a superstar player in the National Hockey League. You could just see his individual skill level, and you got to think if anybody's going to get that ceiling out of him, it'll be Marty St. Louis. I mean, it was pretty electrifying to watch at times last night with him on the ice, Jonny.
Well, that was something I wanted to ask you. But first, I do want to give a word from our sponsor, Perasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Perasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Perasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15. And Colby, I'm one to post a video of a play that doesn't result in a goal or maybe even a scoring chance, but it's something that I just, look at and I was like, wow, that was impressive. That was sick. There was a clip last night, since I didn't watch the game, but I saw it circulating on Twitter of Demidov and Lane Hudson playing 4-on-4 hockey. And it looked like they were just playing 2-on-4. Honestly, I don't even know which other 2 Montreal Canadiens were on the ice, but watching those 2 in 4-on-4, and I know you just mentioned Demidov and his skating, is this a play where it's acceptable to post this video and just like get excited about it, even though it results in ultimately nothing?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that was insane.
I mean, I probably would have given you shit, but it's still. I mean, you could see those two out on the ice. It's pretty ridiculous just to watch again. I mean, Lane Hudson does his thing, and we've seen him play a full season in the NHL. Demidov, obviously not as much runway with what we've had an opportunity to see in the National Hockey League, but again, like when he makes some of those tight turns and he does that Mohawk 10-2 and he's kind of pushing in and out of different situations, he doesn't lose momentum. Demidov, he actually gets faster through a lot of those cuts and turns, and I mean, it really is unique almost to watch. I mean, I don't want to say you can never really compare anybody to like McDavid or McKinnon, but
he's his own. He's his own kind of thing.
Those are the only two other guys that I like sort of come to my mind when I think about players that get into those tight spaces and somehow seem to accelerate through them.
I would say I'd say he's more similar to Eichel than McDavid and McKinnon in that sense, because it's not like he's so quick.
Oh,
it's
see,
just
that's
explosive.
where I disagree. I think it is quick.
You think his feet are quick like that? I just think he's explosive and powerful.
His quickness and his explosiveness in tight, right? Like, I'm not even necessarily talking.
But his feet aren't moving that fast.
Those other two guys, yes, they're big open ice skaters and they're dynamic, but just the way that he can sort of get on his edges and not lose any of his momentum, it's a separator, right? Because when you're playing against defenseman in the National Hockey League, and no, I'm not talking about Owen Power, who I think was on the ice for that clip, who is a little more of a methodical skater, we'll call it. Those guys can all skate now. Like, think about when Quinn Hughes is defending you, or you think about Charlie McAvoy defending you, like any of these really high-end elite defensemen, and Cale Makar, Devon Tate, I mean, go down the list. But so you need to have that ability, and very few players have it. And if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, those types of displays for a guy who's at the infancy of his National Hockey League career, and the same could be said for a number of those players in Montreal. Lane Hudson would obviously go into that category as well. You got to be really excited. And I find myself, Johnny, wanting to watch the Montreal Canadiens every night.
Me too.
The plan for me last night was to spend a majority of my time with the Flyers in Seattle. We had Johnny.
I want to ask you about that next. Yeah.
And I did watch a decent amount of that game because they were 30-minute. They were on 30-minute different schedules, but they started to catch each other. But I didn't want to leave the Montreal game because I was just waiting for some sort of game-breaking play or display of skill that I was going to be like, holy shit. And there were a few of those moments in the Vegas game, by the way. There was a couple of wow plays in that Vegas game where you're just like, this team is I mean, Dorofeyev's goal, I know we're bouncing around right now. I mean, to have the wherewithal to do that with a guy draped all over you, I mean, that is some insane levels of skill. And listen, every time Jack Eichel has the puck on his stick, Johnny, something good happens. Every single time. He is playing different than everybody else in the National Hockey League this year.
And he's the example of when things are going well, like when it rains, it pours for him, right? Like that first goal, I think he's looking to make a cross-team pass and it hits. I forgot whose defenseman, whose stick it hits, but like those are the breaks you get when you're playing as well as he is, right? When things are going well, like everything seems to find the back of the net, and that's how it's going right now with Jack Eichel. But I did want to focus a little bit on Philly. Because I think they are 3-2-1 right now to start the year. And I was like very hard. I don't want to say hard on them, but I said in our preview for the Metropolitan Division this year that I think Philly is going to be the worst team in the league this year. I looked at their roster and I said, what is their strength? I don't see one. You were able to watch that game last night. What stood out to you about the Flyers? Because I haven't watched a full Flyers game yet, but everything I see and everything I hear is that Vic's like, that's not being hard on them. I mean, I feel like when I say things, it doesn't come out as harsh. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's just me, but I'm soft. What can I say? What's going on with the Flyers? That's what I want to ask you about because I haven't been able to tune in on a full game yet for them.
Well, listen, Sean Couturier seems to be feeling good. He said that this is the best he's felt, and he really couldn't even remember how long. And you have a guy who was a super high end first or second line center. Started as a real defensive player, and then he became sort of a junior version of Patrice Bergeron. And I say junior, and I mean not quite as good, but he was trending in that direction on his level of effectiveness in hockey games. So he's got some health, going for him in the right direction. Tyson Forrester's off to a pretty damn good start.
He's good. He's a good player.
Night. Granted, I didn't like the goal by Joey Daccord. I thought he should have saved it. Look, Daccord did not play well last night. I mean, he let in a number of goals where you just, you got to make those saves at the National Hockey League level, but give Philly credit. They put a lot of pressure on him. And they made it more difficult, a lot of traffic around the net. Owen
You're tweeting about Cam York too, right? In the beginning.
Yeah, well, he had a tough couple of first shifts. I mean, he hasn't played this season really. And he had a great camp. He gets injured. He really had a tough, adventurous couple of shifts where he was, they gave up a breakaway, then he's chasing a guy down, then shorthanded. But then he settled into the hockey game for sure, and he started to get in his rhythm a little bit. Look, I think Michkov played better last night. He seemed more engaged in the game, but I just don't think he's quite in shape enough to be an effective player in the National Hockey League right now. Zegras, I think, shows flashes, but they have a little bit of it with Couturier being able to take first line matchups as a centerman. Noah Cates is probably more suited to be a third line center. He's probably not a true number 2 center in the National Hockey League, but a good third line center. And then Dvorak,
I thought he was going to be their number 1 this year. Wasn't that the plan originally?
Well, listen, I mean, you're in a lot of trouble, I think, if Noah Cates is your number 1 center. And I don't mean that I don't say that to disparage the guy, but he's just not that level of hockey player. Like, you're in trouble if that's the situation. And then look, let me give Dan Vladar some credit. First goal of the game was off of a little bit of a mishap. And then, he makes a save on a shorthanded breakaway. And then the Flyers go down and score a go-ahead power play goal, right? So huge swing in momentum. Made a couple of other really, really tough saves late in the first period. Again, keeping the game in a tight situation. So, and Adam, I do agree that Noah Cates is a good player. I'm not, if he's your third line centerman, you're probably looking at a good hockey team, right? If he's in a third line role, but I think trying to have him in a first or second line role, I think that's a little bit too high for him. And you look at teams that win the Stanley Cup, usually their third and their fourth line have a lot to do with it. I mean, we talk about that on the show time and time again. So again, you saw some good things out of the Flyers, right? Guys are jumping in, sticking up for each other. The building had some life in it last night for Philly. I want to I'm going to save the Owen Tippett conversation for Elliotte, because I can't quite figure out why people are dying to trade this guy for what he does versus what he makes. But I'll table that and wait for Elliotte to come on the show, because I'll try to figure out if that's just fan generated noise and blogger generated noise, or if that's legitimately generated noise.
I think that's the case of like a guy who, signed a deal that fans aren't really happy with. Like the same thing's coming out of New York with Lafreniere. It's like he just signed this deal. He's not playing well. It's like that's what it is. What?
You have Owen Tippett, who scored 27 goals, 28 goals, and 20 goals in 3 years for the Philadelphia Flyers. 6.2 million AAV. Jonny, you're buying 20 plus goals guaranteed for $6 million. Third line.
I'm just telling you what I think it is. That's it.
Well, but that's honestly not. That is not.
Fans were on him last year, and it's year 2 of his big deal. And
he had 28 goals last year.
No, last year I think he had 20.
He had 27, 28, and 20. Yes, he only had 43 points and 20 goals last year. But everyone needs to refresh their brains on what that costs.
Yeah, but we got Elliotte here, Colby, so let's not go down
let's
a
bring
rabbit
him into
hole
this
here.
part of the conversation because he would know.
Well, I have to give a word from our sponsor, Bauer, before we bring on Elliotte. So this segment is a presentation of Bauer and the Bauer Pro Shop Advantage. This at-home sharpener gives you the ability to sharpen your skates with pro-level precision at the touch of a button. Leveraged by decades of progressive innovation, this machine is designed to be as automated, precise, and convenient as possible. Easy to use, the Advantage features an interactive touchscreen, user profiles, and has readily available how-to videos and troubleshooting tips to have you ready to sharpen like an expert, whether you're sharpening skates in your garage, at the rink, or even on the road. The Advantage at-home sharpener ensures that your skates are always game ready. So learn more about the Bauer Pro Sharp Advantage at Bauer.com. And with that, allow me to take a deep breath. Let's bring on Elliotte Friedman. Friedge, how you doing? You're in Boston, right? Oh, can't hear you.
No volume. We got to, Vic, wake up, buddy. It's 9:16. Help Elliotte out. Get the volume going. Blame Vic.
Didn't this happen last week too? Or 2 weeks ago?
Still no volume.
All right, Colby, keep ranting about Owen Tippett while we try to work on Elliott's volume.
Well, listen, I my rant is done. That's what I'm saying. Like, I keep seeing his name pop up, and I want to go to the guy who knows the real story and not the bloggers that just put stuff out into the atmosphere and just hope it catches fire. Because again, I think the conversation surrounding him is a little bit silly, and I don't know, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but ultimately, I know that the Flyers have a bunch of prospects on the wings coming, but again, the Flyers said, we are going to be better this year, right? They've never once sit here and said, we're going to burn it down and we're okay with a lottery pick or a first or second overall. Like, that's never been the conversation. They went out, they hired Rick Tocchet, who's not a rebuild coach, right? It's certainly,
he's also doing so much media.
They paid him a shit ton of money. Well, that's smart because he's a beloved Flyer. I mean, he's a beloved Flyer. He's got a good reputation. He's somebody people want to people want to see and they want to hear from. So I think it's smart to have him out in front and center. I really do.
Yeah. And again, like with the Flyers, I still think there's no identity there, and that's my biggest thing, right? Like we were talking about it with John Forsen yesterday in Seattle. Like, Colby, you watched that game last night. What would the Flyers' identity be if you had to pinpoint one thing? What would you say?
Well, listen, I think their idea is that they're trying to be harder to play against, but them and 31 other teams, right? I mean, everybody wants to be hard to play against, but I think they're looking to be sort of an in-your-face type of team, and they're not a team that has a bunch of 100 plus point scorers and they're just going to light it up. I think they're a team that's looking to improve their special teams and kind of chip away and find goals where they can, full well knowing they're still in a transition period of ushering in young players and looking for opportunities to improve their team. We know they're going to take a swing eventually in the free agency market, in the trade market. There will be a big swing taken at some point.
I know we're like 7. Oh, I think I just heard Elliott's voice. But I know we're only 7 games in. The honestly, the Eastern Conference standings are wild.
That should work.
You have Detroit right now in first in the Atlantic.
We can hear you, Elliotte. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, there you go. There he is. Good morning, Elliotte. You in Boston?
Yes, I am. Something's gone on with my voice. I'm losing my voice.
Oh,
it's from the Jays' big win last night, huh? Congrats on that one. Nice to see Toronto in a championship.
I can't even say it was that. It was I was simply watching it on TV. I wasn't even screaming that much.
Well, Elliotte, let's jump into it. We want to be, we don't want to make you overuse the pipes because we know you got to be on TV and probably a lot of different hits throughout the day. But I don't know how much you caught of the Owen Tippett conversation that we're having. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, $6.2 million for a guy who's at least going to score 20 goals and has 27, 28, and 20 in the last 3 years. That seems like a great deal to me. and he's off to a start where he's got 5 goals in 6 games for the Flyers this year.
Yeah.
Are they really looking to move this guy right now? Is that blogger creation? I mean, I don't know. Danny Briere usually keeps it pretty tight in that organization with leaks.
You know, the way it reads to me, Colby, is this. How many players do you think in this league are untradeable?
Very
Not
few.
many.
Like
Yeah.
one or two. Kaprizov
Yes.
and McDavid.
So what this says to me is that somebody asked about him, or the Flyers maybe were looking at something specific, and Tippett's name came up and it got out. This reads as one of those situations where, like I said, I think the Flyers are looking to trade Owen Tippett? No. Do I think that somebody may have asked about Owen Tippett if they were either they called and said, "Look, what are you doing there? Is there any chance you'd move this player?" Or we know the Flyers are looking for D. Tocchet was not happy with his D in the preseason, and the Flyers have been looking around for defense. Is it possible that they were looking at somebody and Tippett's name came up as the return piece? That's what this reads to me like, Colby. I have not specifically heard Tippett's name widely out there. Like, it's not widely disseminated. So what I think happened, Colby, is that he either came up in one particular conversation, or there was something the Flyers were considering, and maybe Tippett would have had to have been the return. But I don't think like he's a guy Philly's really looking to deal or is really available out there. I think it may have come up in one specific case or something like that.
And then fans run with it. That's how it kind of works, right? Do you see
you know what
power
happens,
have?
Jonny, is that sometimes a reporter finds out about it. Like this one, the Flyers cannot blame this one on me. Like, people can blame other things on me all the time. The Flyers cannot blame this one on me. I have not discussed Tippett anywhere until you guys just brought it up. But I've seen his name out there, and like, I'll be the first one to admit, guys, I don't know everything. Lots of things happen out there without my knowledge. But this strikes me as, like, I have not heard his name being out there. So this strikes me as it was like a particular team or a particular situation, and his name may have come up. A reporter or someone finds out about it, and then here we go.
Something I wanted to ask about, I guess, while we're kind of on the Flyers, I'm going to shift it over to a different team, but it has to do with the Flyers, obviously, because they moved Morgan Frost last year and Joel Farabee to Calgary, and Calgary, it seems like, is just in no man's land, honestly, right now, because Dustin Wolf, obviously, he's got that big year last year and probably sets them back a year, and now they're 1-6-0 to start this year, and they don't look like they have much going, but I wanted to make this a two-parter in some sense because Kevin Bieksa obviously went off on them on Sportsnet.
Yes.
Actually went off. He went off in like a nice way, if that makes sense.
I have to tell you something. There were a lot of people who didn't think that was very nice. I will say that. Like, I don't have any issue with Kevin. He played 900 games. He has the right to say what he wants. But I would just say to you, Jonny, that I heard from people who were like, you piled on. Like, it was interesting. Like, it's one of those situations where, it was one of those situations where after it happens, the reaction is almost as interesting as to what Kevin said itself.
And you just get the front row seat to all of it, right? You don't get any.
No, it was like, it was pointed. It was really pointed. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that one clip in particular, you're down 6-1. It's a guy who's not really known for his physicality. Like, I guess it's a tough spot to put Sharon Govich in, but the point stands, right? Like, what is Calgary's identity right now, and what is their plan? Like, they're a team right now that I feel like you have no idea what their next 2 or 3 years could look like.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, on Sharon Govich, I thought it was really interesting. Like the whole thing with Kevin and his clip there. Like, first of all, like I said, Kevin played 900 games. He has earned the right to say what he wants. And if you tell him he can't say what he wants, he's going to be even more uncontrollable. So you just let him go and do whatever he wants to do. like as I said, I heard from some people who thought it was too much. That's fine. That's their opinion. But I thought it was interesting that some of the players came to Sharon Govich's defense, and then he was healthy scratched. So what it says to me is that unfortunately, that player has become a little bit of a lightning rod in Calgary. Everybody goes through it. You know how we all go through it. Some players just become that guy in that city at any particular point of time. And right now, Sharon Govich is going through it in Calgary. Here's the thing I'd say about them. They have a new building due in 2 years. I think they're really excited about it. It sounds like it's going to be beautiful. I think that their whole plan is let's be ready by the time the new building comes in. The other thing you guys have to remember is that Calgary went through a series a few years ago where they missed the playoffs for a whole bunch of years, and they saw what that did to their fan base. Obviously, it makes it harder to sell tickets. It's harder to get interest in your organization. Your whole organization struggles on and off the ice. And I don't think they've forgotten that too easily. I've been told they haven't forgotten that. So last year, they just missed the playoffs with a team that really works hard. And I think they were hoping that this year would be similar. Now they're 1-6. The thing that I think they have to be really careful about is don't go for the quick fix. Don't do that. Do not make a short-term move. Like, what's Calgary's biggest problem? It's hard for them to score. They have talented players, but it's hard for them to score. This is going to be difficult for them to hear, but if this is going to be a rough season, this is a great draft. Go for it. Go for the top of the draft. It's going to be hard to hear because they're not going to like that being in that position. And I think the other thing you have to worry about here, guys, is there are veteran players there. And I think the Flames worry about some of how some of those veteran players will handle a season like that. And I think that's very much on their mind.
Yeah, I want to stay in Canada a little bit, and I think Elliotte, like, the quick fix almost never works, and we see it so often. It's so tempting, and it's easy for us to sit here and be critical. I'm sure when you've got that, multi-billion-dollar budget at your disposal, or I mean your multi-billion-dollar franchise at your disposal, and it's like monopoly money. It's very tempting to go out and just throw money at your problems and make quick fixes. But it sounds like Craig Conroy is a pretty deep thinking gentleman. I've heard like he's not somebody that is very reactive. And I don't know if you can comment on that with your experience with him, but that's sort of what I've always kind of heard through the grapevine about him as a player, now as a person, as a general manager.
Well, I agree with that. Colby, one of the things was 2 years ago, they had a really tough year, right? And that was Markstrom, and that was, Huberdeau had his first season, and he had some battles with the coaching staff about his usage and things like that. And at the end of that year, there were a bunch of players, I think, who were talking about asking to be traded. If we're going to pack it in and we're going to give up, we want out. And he told them all, I'm not trading you. We're starting next year. And he traded Markstrom. He said that was the one guy they had to move. Markstrom had to go. So they did it. The rest of it was, guys, I need a quiet offseason. Last year was too loud. You're coming back. We're going to see how this goes. And then we'll all make our decisions together. And they had a pretty strong year last year. So, like that, your point about Craig is right. When Craig played, he was a really emotional, fiery guy. He has talked about how when he got traded to Calgary, he didn't want to be there, and he stayed there long enough to change his mind, and now he's still there. I think he is calm. I think, like, there were different points where players would tell him, like Noah Hannafin a couple of years ago. He went into his last year. They came this close to getting an extension done. And then Hannafin said, wait, they lost a few games. And Hannafin said, I'm not sure about this. And he said, okay, if we're going to get this close and Hannafin's not sure based on a couple of games, I have to really think about what we're doing. I think he's a real thinker. He asked people for patience. He asked people for calm. And I think that he's not wired to rush into any decisions. I think to me, though, the biggest question about the Flames is how are their veterans going to handle this? Players like Kadri, players like Coleman, players like Anderson, how are they going to handle a rough season? And that's the biggest thing that he's going to have to navigate.
I mean, I have a question about Kadri because we actually have some comments in the chat. I want to shout out Ice Clubs, one of our most loyal chat contributors. I call them now.
Ice Clubs, how you doing, bud?
He's a smart one too, but he keeps asking about Tampa and what the start Tampa's had so far.
Yep.
You think they're gonna? I mean, they're always a team that's aggressive, right? So do you think Kadri's like a possible candidate for someone they'd go after, or do you think Tampa is maybe on the brink of trying to make a little splash or something that they can do to fix their roster? Because their roster right now isn't very whole.
I got killed, by the way, Elliotte, in our previews when I said I thought Tampa was taking a step back this year, and I provided reasons why. The comments were, I mean, like the people came for my throat on that one. And I want them to get on track because they're such a exciting market, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, their building's great. They've got superstars, but tough start for John Kruper's group. I mean, we obviously can't deny that.
And I picked them to win the cup.
So the two groups of people really happy with Tampa looking terrible are Panthers fans and Colby Cohen. That's basically what we're dealing with here, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the haul that Calgary's going to be asking for if Kadri's out there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the one thing I always look at is what, they traded Isaac Howard. They've got Sam O'Reilly. Like, he's probably their number one trade chip. Like, I always look at, first of all, the one thing I say about Tampa is let them breathe a bit. Vasilevsky didn't play much all preseason. I think he only played the last game. So that's one thing I look forward to. If he gets going, they're all going to be fine, but we still need to see him get going. The one thing I agree with you on, though, Colby, is Julien Brisebois, if he sees a problem, he won't let it fester.
No.
He'll go out and he will address it. The big question I have, though, is what does Tampa have to make the move?
Not a lot. I'm looking
at not a lot.
Yeah, it's not deep. They don't have first round picks the next 2 years. Their first, they do have seconds, but there's not a lot there to go and pull the trigger. You are 100% accurate on that.
Sam O'Reilly is the guy. Like, that's their guy. That's the guy they can trade for something. But Tampa, to me, it's usually a free agency thing because guys will happily go there as free agents. I think it's harder for them to make the trades that they need to make in season.
Yeah.
Unless they get a guy who directs himself there with control. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe that could be a guy like Brady Tkachuk at some point and say, "Oh, I want to go be rivals with my brother."
What are you trying to do? Getting killed in Canada, man? I want to be able to get back. I want to be able to get back into the country tomorrow, Colby. Come on, man.
You got that Nexus pass. All right, yes. I want to stay in Canada, though, because I want to ask you about Johnny's good friend and friend of our show, Shane Pinto.
Yeah.
The guy
I'm sending this to him, so be careful what you say.
Oh, he knows.
I said I'm going to send this to him, so be careful.
I've heard that he knows everything that is said and written about him. Like, he knows. So, this is getting to him anyway, so don't worry about it. By the way, that doesn't look like your girlfriend's couch there, Johnny. Are you in a different place here?
He's at his parents now.
What are you like? You're like a grifter. Like, one day
I have a dentist appointment today at 11:30, so I had to come home.
Oh, that's good.
Just a nice $180 Uber from New York City.
Yes, I understand. So Pinto.
And my question for you is, like, The guy had 21 goals last year. The previous year, he only played half a season. We know that. Why?
Yeah.
The year before, he scores 20 goals. The pace that he's on right now, is this something where Ottawa's like, we need to get this locked up immediately because by the end of the season, he could be 40% more based on all the other factors, where you could maybe get him at a little bit of a more friendly number right now? I saw you talk about it on different platforms here a little bit and read.
Yeah.
So where does that situation go and sit and, circumstantially here?
Well, first of all, I agree with you. Like, centers get paid. Look at all the teams looking for centers. Vancouver's looking for centers. Montreal's looking for centers. Everybody's looking for centers, right? All these teams out there, they're looking for centers. And he's a good player, and he's only getting better. He's got a bit of a unique contract situation, Colby, because he's done this year, but he still has 2 more years after this season till he's an unrestricted free agent. So he's in a situation where, like, it's not like one of those things where you're paying for all UFA years. If you did 8 seasons, you'd be paying for 2 US RFA years and then 6 UFA years. It makes it a little bit more complicated, especially since we don't know where the cap is going. Now, I think it's funny how this works. Like, you report something and then all the other stuff gets knocked loose. Like, more stuff keeps coming out. I think Ottawa had made him a couple of offers that weren't market value. Like, they were low. And finally they threw that 8-year offer at him last week, I think, to try to be a little bit more serious. But it's not going to do it from what I heard about it. I don't know exactly what the number was, but it wasn't going to do it. And I had a team tell me that if Ottawa wants to sign Pinto, they're probably going to have to do a 3-year deal. Because, and now Ottawa won't sign 2, I don't think, because it walks him right to unrestricted free agency and takes him out there. That gives too much power to the player. You sign him for 3 years. You know what that also does if you sign him for 3 years is it kind of ties him into Tkachuk about the same time that he's a UFA, and it allows you to set up your structure. I think that's going to be, even if it's 3 years, I still think it's a big number. Definitely a raise from where he is right now. I would tell you this. I think if Pinto was available, which he's not, he would have 31 teams chasing after him. And the question is, can he play top 2 center in this league? I don't think there's any doubt he can. I think he's proving this year he can. People always think about a number 1 center as a guy who gets 100 points and stuff like that. I don't. I think also a top center can be a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, who wasn't a great point getter, but he was great in all phases of the game, especially controlling the cycle and playing D. I think you can have number 1 centers like that if you have scorers around them. So I think Ottawa's in a situation where, like, I'm sure on one level they're looking at their salary structure and saying they don't want to blow it out of the water, but Winnipeg had to do it. Other teams are going to have to do it. I think with where the cap's going, they may have no choice but to get there.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, Shane Pinto's agent is Louis Gross.
Yes.
And Louis is a guy, when I was a young player, he was still partners with Jordan Newman and George Bezos. So I knew him very, very well. I was in their group, and to this day, Louis still, like, I still work with Louis on like taxes and things like that. And I know him very, very well. He is a guy that his clients trust. And when he says, give me some time, be patient, we'll get this done, generally his clients trust in him and they let these things drag out because they know Louis is a great agent and he gets it done for his players. And that's, you look at the history, like Nylander, Swayman, like there's history of guys saying, you know what, I'm going to dig my heels in. And Louis he's a good teammate to have in the trenches with you. And so it should be pretty interesting. I don't know if you have any comments on that, but I figured.
Well, first of all, I think that's going to go. First of all, I think, Colby, that's going to go right to his head. That's number 1. Number 2, I would say this. The Nylander one, I think, is interesting on this. It's not exactly the same because Nylander was a UFA and Pinto, as we mentioned, isn't. But the one thing that Louis Gross told Nylander was, start the year hot and everything will take care of itself. And what did Nylander do that year? He started the year really hot, and eventually the leverage came so far to his way that Toronto gave him what he wanted. And the more that Pinto plays like this, like he's not going to score 92 goals. I think we all know that. But the more he plays like this, the more the leverage tips in his direction. And like Lewis's way, from what I've heard, is you take care of what you need to do, and I will take care of what I need to do. Nylander did that, and now Pinto is doing that.
Elliotte, I got to ask you about a guy who I'm sure you might be tired of talking about already, but the questions are going to keep coming, and they're going to keep coming from me especially, because I think you said recently about Panarin and the Rangers that they went to him and said something about a Kopitar deal, which was what, like
That's
$7
true.
million a year, right?
Yeah, well, just the idea. Like they
Mhm.
said, would you do what Kopitar did and take a short-term deal, a little less money to help the Kings get better? And I don't think they ever formally made him an offer,
Mhm.
John, but I do think they talked conceptually about that idea.
And I'm only smiling because Colby, when he calls me John, it's usually just to troll me. So I don't know if that's
No,
something
no,
that
no,
you've
no,
been
no,
hinted
no.
at.
No, no, no.
He's just naturally good at trolling you,
I
Johnny.
know he is.
2 shows with us, and Elliotte
But-
just picks the ball up and runs down the field with it. I love it.
But Elliotte, with Panarin specifically, obviously as we're watching things transpire with the Rangers right now, they're having a lack of offense, even though Panarin scored the last 2 games in a row. If the Rangers are sitting outside of a playoff spot, are you then sitting in that chair saying, oh my God, we need to keep this guy because our offense can't score and he's our best offensive player? Or is it like, well, we're not scoring goals with him here still, so is it time to move on? I don't mean to put you in the GM chair, but I'm curious if you know any sort of train of thought that the Rangers might be having when it comes to Artemi Panarin.
Well, I think like the one thing that's really interesting to me is, and I think this is part of the game that they're playing, both these sides right now, John, is that like how many places do you think Artemi Panarin wants to go?
Not many, maybe
Like if
3 tops.
Florida,
if
Tampa, and Vegas.
yeah,
Honestly, Long Island maybe.
yeah, like I
Long Island
wondered
would pay
about
him.
the Islanders.
Yeah.
I actually wondered about the Islanders because remember when he signed with the Rangers, the Islanders were the other team that were in it. As a matter of fact, they
Yeah.
thought they had him at one particular point. Now,
He's a perfect guy for them too, honestly. They'd be
100%,
give him
100%. So I think a little bit of it is the Rangers playing that. I've wondered, to be honest, if part of this is. I've actually wondered if Minnesota could be a team here. Same agent as Kaprizov. Um, they've promised Kaprizov they will go out to get better. Part of me wonders if like there's a short-term deal that makes sense with Minnesota if this doesn't work out with the Rangers. Like honestly, I really do believe it's going to come down to his play.
That's what Michael Russo wants.
Yes, that's true. Like honestly, how is he like you watch them more than I do. How has he looked to you this year?
Past 2 games, he's been better. First 5 games, not great. A little hesitant. Not very aggressive. Passing up a lot of opportunities, but he scores the first goal last night. And the team didn't play great last night, but thought he had his best game in Montreal.
I really think JL that if he's going to stay in New York, he's going to have to. He's at what he wants. Like he's going to have the kind of year that makes them say we got to do this. Because like the one thing is too with Panarin is he has the same agent as Kaprizov, as I mentioned, and the agent, and it's Paul Theophanis. He likes to hit upper deck homers, right? And he did with Kaprizov. So I don't think there's any like senior discounts for Artemi Panarin, right? So I think we already know the Rangers went to him and said, "Would you consider the idea of the Kopitar pay cut?" No. So they know it's going to be a big number, right? I think it's going to come down to, does he convince them that we have to go for this number?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they should, to be honest. I think it's time to move on, but that's my personal opinion.
And you know what? Also, when you go to a player and you say that, that's in your head.
Yeah.
You're like you guys both played. Like if someone comes up to you, if like Colby or John, when you guys were playing, okay, if someone came up to you, like your coach or someone in your organization came up to you and said, "Would you accept a little bit less, like significantly less?" What would that tell you?
That I'm not worth much.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
Bruce
the what
Cassidy. Bruce
it
Cassidy said that to me in a different way just about every day for 4 years. So
yeah.
I get the memo. He had his way with words, and it never sounded the way you're putting it, Elliotte. But I
Yeah.
understand what you mean by it.
So like Panarin has to know that too, right? He has to
Mhm.
be sitting there and saying, "All right, like my future here is uncertain."
Yeah.
So like it's like poker. Cards speak, right? This one is going to be play speaks.
Mhm. And my last one for you, Elliot, and again, we're so grateful for your time, and I know
I'm
we don't
sorry
want to
about
hold
my
you too
voice. I
long.
didn't realize it was that bad.
You're
I
a
hadn't
gamer. I
spoken
No,
to
no,
think your
it's
anybody
voice
yet
actually
has
this
gotten
gotten
morning.
way
better.
better. Yeah,
It's
it's
gotten
Yeah.
gotten
better,
way
yeah.
better. So
Yeah.
you're a gamer.
But I think we'd be doing a disservice to our listeners if we didn't ask you about your sit down with Jonathan Toews.
Okay.
Obviously it's been an emotional return for him and a new perspective for him, and he scores his first goal last night, and you can just see that sense of joy in his celebration and whatnot. But what have you learned? What have you made? And what are your thoughts on the whole return from Jonathan Toews and your interview with him?
Well, guys, like I can say this now because it looks good, but I was concerned that it might not work. That it could go like we didn't know, right? He hadn't played in almost 3 years. Um, like it's he hadn't played in 910 days, and remember the last time we saw him, because of everything that happened to his body, he was not in great shape. It just had affected his body, so he just didn't know that. Um, he didn't know how it was going to be. I thought and I hoped it would go really well, but part of me was like, don't set high expectations, because what
Mhm.
if he starts the first 20 games and he's not there? So the way he's played, it's pleasantly surprised me. I will say the interview surprised me in a lot of different ways. First of all, he was great and he deserves a lot of credit for how honest he was. But like he's talked about the long COVID and the other conditions that bothered him. It's very clear to me, guys, that the biggest issue he was dealing with was between the ears. That he obviously was not in a great place mentally, and he had to get back there. And it was interesting. One of the producers said to me they were blown away by the fact that he said it's unfair to name a 20 or a 21-year-old captain. And
Yeah.
I do wonder if teams are going to watch that interview and they're going to say, like, Connor Bedard, nope. Macklin Celebrini, nope. Um, and just say, you've got enough and we'll find someone else. And when you're a little bit older and you're more experienced, you're going to do it. But I was really blown away by how honest he was. And I think it's just a reminder that you could have somebody who like looks like they have the world by the tail. Think of what he was like in his 20s. He won 3 Stanley Cups. He won 2 Olympic gold medals. He won the World Cup. Like he won all of that stuff. And it wasn't all together. So it's just a reminder that what you see on the surface isn't always the way it truly is. But I'm really happy for him. I'm like, I'll say this. When I went to Winnipeg, I flew into Winnipeg to do that interview. It was the Monday, the day before the season started. And I landed in Winnipeg on the Sunday, and I said, and just some people saw me come off the plane. They're like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm here to interview John. I'm here to interview Jonathan Toews." And they were like, "We're so proud he came home. Like we're
Mhm.
so proud the local guy is playing for us." And that really hit me too. Was how much the people of Winnipeg are thrilled that he's playing for the Jets.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
It's an awesome story. Yeah.
He's such a
Sorry,
good
Colby.
dude. I got to know him in Chicago a little bit, and throughout the years, because he was really good friends with Colin Wilson, who was one of my roommates through college and such.
Oh
Elliotte,
yeah.
he's really a intelligent, well thought, deep thinker. Like when you talk to him, you're like, there's just a lot of thought in his brain. He's not someone who's just like walking around just like necessarily like in the moment of every single day. This is a guy who thinks about things on such a deep level. Like I find him being incredibly intelligent in all the conversations I've had with him. We are rooting for him on this show for nothing but health, happiness, success, you name it, because he's a great guy. Great guy.
And for what it's worth, Elliotte, Chef Richard, a Winnipeg Jet fan, Winnipeg local in our chat, says next time you're there, he wants to take you for falafel. Yes.
Oh, really? He wants to take me for falafel there? I will do that. I love falafel.
He's one of us. He's a member of the tribe too, and he's with us every morning. We
love well then, exactly. If there's one thing that everybody can agree on, it's that falafel is good. That's one thing that we can all agree on.
Bringing us all together.
Yeah.
All right,
but thank you so much, Elliotte.
Oh my! I gotta say, from me to Pete, Blackburn, from calm to chaos. I like that. Say hi to Peter for me, okay?
We will let him know.
I'm sure he's hearing it right now.
All right, guys. I'll have some throat lozenges before I'm back in 2 weeks. Okay, guys.
Awesome.
Take care.
All right. Thanks.
Good luck. Enjoy the game.
All right.
Great stuff from Elliotte. Want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Uber Eats, before we bring on our friend Pete Blackburn. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins. If you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. And our Uber stat of the day, obviously, we got to highlight Brad Marchand, who's returning to TD Garden tonight. His stats with the Boston Bruins: 1,090 games played, which is fourth all-time in franchise history. 427 goals, also fourth all-time. 554 assists, which is sixth all-time. 976 points, which is fifth all-time. And 1,113 penalty minutes, which is fourth all-time. So Brad Marchand is at the top of a lot of those records, some good, some bad, obviously, with the Pims. But without further ado, let's bring on the ever so handsome and well-lit Pete Blackburn. Pete, welcome to my doghouse, pal.
How are you? How's it going?
It's good to have you. Good to have you. So obviously a lot of anticipation tonight with Marchand's return. And I got to ask you off the bat, do you expect one boo? There can't be any, right?
No, I wouldn't imagine so. I mean, I'm not going to put my life on it. Bostonians are Bostonians, and they'll find a way to this is a fan base that half of them hated Tuukka Rask for some reason. So, like, I feel like this is, it's been long enough that like the wounds have healed a little bit, and I feel like obviously Brad Marchand does not deserve to be booed in returning. So I hope that he isn't.
Yeah, certainly. I think that's a fair point, though. You never know what's going to happen inside the TD Garden, because it is such a passionate fan base. If that game gets out of control or gets going the wrong way, you never know what's going to happen. But I do believe, Pete, and I know you've been close to the Bruins for forever, and I know DJ. Geez, I feel like I remember him writing nasty things about me like almost 15 or 20 years ago as a player in the organization. So you guys have been close to that organization forever. The story at the end of it, though, for Brad Marchand, he'll come back home and he'll retire a Bruin and he'll have his one.
You think so?
Oh, for sure.
Like a one day.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get his flowers in Boston, and he'll be well received as a favorite son and a Stanley Cup champion, and everything that he meant to that organization. But just on the hockey side of things, like, it's been a little bit of up and down this year. Jeremy Swayman seems to be sort of back looking like Jeremy Swayman with a full training camp under his belt, and you have a bit of a goaltending tandem that looks like it can work. What are the real and true expectations for this team? Because I hear everything that Sweeney says, and I hear everything that Jacob says, and Cam, and so on and so forth. But I'm not sure if I find it to be realistic over an 82 game span.
Yeah, and I don't know if I truly believe them when they made the comments that like they felt like they could really contend this year. Like I don't see them being that naive. And like as far as expectations go, I'll speak for myself personally as a Bruins fan. Like all I'm looking for this year is like palatable, watchable, entertaining hockey. And we've gotten that to this point. And maybe that's stupid of me or naive of me to kind of be disenchanted by the season that they had last year, where everything was miserable and like the team was bad, players were traded, and the product on the ice was borderline unwatchable at points.
It was shit.
I will take anything this year. So the fact that they've been able to be competitive and they look like they give a crap, that really matters to me. And like, I've enjoyed myself watching wins and losses with this team so far.
I want to go away from like what's currently happening in the NHL for just a little bit, because it is cool to talk about the Prime Show Face-Off, right? And you're like one of the main features on it, which is sick, by the way.
Not everybody's happy about that.
I love that the blue Jonny color shirt you had on. Big fan of that. You need to drop a link somewhere for that shirt.
Abercrombie, I'm an Abercrombie boy these days.
Was it?
Yeah.
But
Abercrombie,
I'm curious,
kids or adult?
I mean, like size-wise, probably kids, but I think that the style is
dick.
for adults.
Well,
hey, I'll take Colby being mean to me over you, because I'm the only person who gets to be mean to you.
That's fair. You're not normally mean to me though. You're pretty nice to me. DJ's meaner, I feel like.
I've lowered the bar so much on him, Pete. Like, he thinks you're being nice to him because he's just so used to taking a beating all morning, every morning for 4 days a week. So
God,
on Twitter,
waking up first thing in the morning and being a punching bag on your own show. You're a brave soul.
And it doesn't stop there. He tweets at me all fucking night now.
He told me I needed to tweet more. I'm not usually active on Twitter at night, but he told me to do more tweeting.
All right. Well, let me ask my question. Pete, when it comes to actually like filming the show, like I'm really curious what goes on behind the scenes, and honestly, how you got involved to begin with too. Like, it's a pretty awesome project, and I think, hopefully it continues throughout each season. I mean, seeing like Sidney Crosby behind the scenes, even though, I thought they maybe could have shown more on Crosby. But I've personally loved the show, and I think it's, what hockey has needed since 24/7 has kind of, gone away with HBO. We've always been craving a show like this.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love it. I'd be watching it, and I'd love it if I was, just a fan, which I am. Like, I'm not in the production side of this, so when everybody's seeing these episodes, so am I for the first time. So, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know the answer as to why I'm involved, honestly. Like, I know that the guy who runs the show, Daniel Amagon, is a big fan of our podcast, What Chaos, and I'm sure that's a big part of the reason why I'm involved. But like, when I look at it, it's it's like me, Biz, Sarah Nurse, Jackie Redmond, and like, I'm completely out of my depths in comparison to those
disagree.
people. So like, I don't know why I'm involved, but I'm very, very honored, and it's a great it's a great opportunity, and like, it's just awesome to be part of, because again, like, I'm a fan of that show.
Do you interact with the players at all in filming it, or not at all?
No, like, we're totally separate. Like, this year's season, we filmed I filmed all of my interviews at the What Chaos studio. Like, they came to me, they just set up like their production and did it there. So yeah, I don't have anything, like, I don't even really know what the storylines that are being shaped around these episodes are. They, there are some lines where I'm given to read, but most of the time they're just asking me about these players, about these storylines, and how I feel about them. And then I just have to wait and see how they're inserted and how that story is shaped.
Well, you definitely have a good sort of narrator voice. No doubt about that. I mean, you
definitely better than Elliotte Friedman this morning.
Yeah.
Although he got better, he got better throughout the episode. So we'll have to give him a little bit of credit at least. So look, I want to ask you a little bit about the news of this week, and I'm sure most of the people that are listening to our show they're hockey people. They're taking in lots of different shows. For those of us out there and our audience, like, tell us a little bit about What Chaos. Like, you guys have this really cool looking studio. Now you guys have joined the Nation Network. Is the plan to stay at the same time? Is it, where are you guys filming your episodes? Is it New York? Is it Boston? Like, maybe you could just give us a little bit of information. This way, our audience knows where to come and find you guys. You're now a part of the Nation Network family. And for those of you who don't realize it, like, yes, Jonny and I stream on Daily Faceoff's YouTube channel every day and all their properties. But if you look in the corner next to the word Uber Eats, you see TNN. That's the Nation Network. That's Daily Faceoff, Leafs Nation. It's the guys out in Calgary. It's all the different, Oilers, the Oilers Nation and Tyler and everything. So it's all under one network and one family. and Pete and DJ have joined that with their show, What Chaos, which is one of the most popular shows there is in hockey. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about it for our audience, for people that may not exactly know who you guys are or what you guys are doing every morning or every day, at noon.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'll say I'm super excited about joining the Nation, and like the part of that is because I'm a huge consumer of the Nation to begin with. Like I've loved the lineup of shows, including your guys's, like Merrick and DFO Live. All these shows I've been watching for years. So, the thing is, like, I have to constantly remind myself that like people who listen to a lot of these shows, and I'm glad that you kind of set it up like that, Colby, because like people who listen to these shows don't always know what goes on like behind the production and how many people are involved in putting things like these shows out. And so like I'm so excited, but the reality is for like a lot of our listeners, nothing is going to change. Like nothing is really going to change. We changed our show art so it might look different on their phones when they listen or whatever, but we're going to be at the same time every day. We still record in Boston. We're still going to be like the same type of show. It's just very, very exciting for us. And I hope that people who are, involved in the Nation community, like it's exciting that we're joining like forces there, because we truly believe in the vision and what they're building in terms of a wide variety of hockey coverage. And so like, that's sort of where our show is that we like to approach things differently. Like we'll spend a lot of time on ridiculous stories that nobody on like quote unquote serious hockey shows would touch or like want to talk about. Like we spent a good 4 days talking about the Red Wings Zamboni driver who peed in the drain and got fired.
Was it Pissin' Al?
Of course, Pissin' Al Sabaka. Yeah, like I'm obsessed with that story. And like yesterday we talked about like the Sharks Jumbotron debacle. Like we just like to have fun. And
I saw that one. That was a tough one.
Yeah. So like yesterday, I forget which show we appeared on, and they said that like they considered us to be, it may have been Oilers Nation, said that like they considered us to be like the Pardon My Take of NHL hockey podcast, which like I find a massive compliment, because it kind of bridges the gap between like being a passionate sports fan, but also not taking things so seriously that like you're getting in fights online about it. So we just like to like be fans and have fun and find the joy in being like a little bit childish and a little bit serious.
That's why I love going on your show, because you guys are humorous. Whenever I try to make a joke on here, I get yelled at.
Jonny sounds like a perfect guest for you.
I go on their show all the time. Whenever I try to
Jonny.
Be sarcastic on here, it's taken literally by you, and then you twist my words, and I look like an idiot online.
Well, I mean, I think you're pretty good at doing that to yourself. You don't really need a lot of help when you start pegging third liners to be 100-point guys all the time, Jonny. I mean, you do it to yourself.
Please.
Why? What did
I feel like I've been invited over to like parents' houses who are like clearly going through a divorce.
No, that's not us.
We see What Chaos in the chat, so we definitely can confirm that you are around and have been involved, and we see you guys in the chat, and we're really excited to have you guys on board. I think they're doing a great job at bringing good shows on board under the banner. And I'll give you a quick funny story, Pete. Like I remember when, I had first came back from working in Chicago for a couple of years, and Frank said to me, like, he's like, do you know who Pete Blackburn is? I'm like, yeah, like we don't like know each other well, but like, sure, of course I know who he is. And he's like, I think there could be, you'd argue with each other a lot, and you guys would probably bang heads against each other. And he's like, I could see like you guys doing well on a show together that was like super controversial, because you would just argue with each other the whole time. So I think it's cool now to have you on board. So now maybe we'll get an opportunity to argue with each other a bunch online and over God knows what, right?
Pete said Wilson's hit was dirty, so why don't you do it now?
I did not say anything. I don't talk about hits on the internet anymore. I've learned my lesson there. I'm seasoned. Actually, I think the last time that me and Colby like were talking on Twitter, it was about a hit, but I think that it was like a very respectful back and forth where it was like you had a point of view that I like hadn't considered, and it was just like a very cordial back and forth on Twitter, which never fucking happens. So I very much appreciated it, and maybe that was a little taste of things to come.
Yeah,
Did
listen,
he tell you you're okay? Sorry.
You're sometimes you just got to tip your cap and be like, hey, that's a reasonable thought. Like, you might not agree with it, but you're like, that's a reasonable thought. Unlike the guy sitting, on the left right now, Pete, who tried to bring Nathan Horton and Aaron Rome into the conversation yesterday. His wheels were spinning so bad that he's telling Vic to dig up the hit on Horty, which basically ended the guy's life and career, and not life, obviously. Like, I've heard Horty's doing pretty well right now, but he never really played again. And I'm like, seriously, we're going there? You're going to go Aaron Rome, Nathan Horton right now to compare the hit on Chytil yesterday? Like, what are we doing? I mean, what are we doing?
I don't want to get Jeremiah mad. Jeremiah was yelling at me all day yesterday because Tom Wilson and whatever. But Pete, I was actually going to ask you too, just because you guys have done so many good in-person player interviews. I'm wondering if there's any planned, this coming season or month, or any trips you guys have coming up. I know you've done some great stuff with Columbus, Utah. Where else have you guys been? Chicago, you've done a lot with.
Detroit, yeah.
And you did one with Marchand. The one with Marchand, by the way, what was DJ asked the question before he was traded, right? What was like the way he phrased the question about returning to Boston for Four Nations, and then what that, right? It was a really good. I forgot exactly how
he was like, how is playing for the Bruins this season, which was last season, how is playing for the Bruins this season prepared you for getting booed at Four Nations in your own building? Because
you should repost that clip.
Bruins were getting booed. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm glad we work together now. That's a good idea from you, Johnny. Yeah, so I mean, like, we don't have anything on the books in terms of team trips, but they often they pop up like pretty last second. And we just came back from Los Angeles. We did a couple sit downs with the Kings. We have Jim Hiller on the show today. Cool. Yeah, so like we've got some good stuff in the banked right now, but nothing on the books. We'll see. It often pops up. I'm sure we'll get somewhere.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're really excited to have you come on board and again, just adding to the lineup, and hopefully we'll be able to get DJ on the show at some point and sort of get his point of view on it. And we'll see if we can cause maybe some friction between you and him potentially, and try to grease the wheels a little bit.
No, I want to see you yell at him for whatever he wrote about you back in the day. I'll tune into that. That's must see.
I can't exactly remember it, because if I remembered everything they said bad about me, which turned out to all be right, mind you, but like my list of people that cover the Bruins would be like so long, I'd probably be a little bit out of space. And if I could have a good relationship with Joe Haggerty, I think DJ and I could probably hug it out and be good to go.
Boy, don't get me started on Hags. We can go a whole nother hour on that one. So
it's his Twitter hacks with Hags, right?
I believe it is. Yep.
But
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's been around forever.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that, because I do have a solid. I don't see him anymore, but I have a solid relationship with him. Pete, thanks for coming on today, man. Like we said, we're excited to have you guys on board. Make sure you guys are getting the dual screen going. You'll have DFL now at noon, and you'll have Chaos at noon. Give the bosses credit. We are building a lineup of shows all throughout the morning into the afternoon to keep you guys occupied, and like Pete said, like, their show is a little bit different, right? Your flavor might be DFL, your flavor might be Chaos, and it might just depend on what happened the night before. I think options are a great thing to have. So Pete, thanks for coming on today, man.
If I may,
and if you don't want to choose, you can watch one of them after the fact, because obviously we're a podcast as well. So it doesn't have to be live on YouTube. We'd love that. We love our chat, but we're on podcast as well.
I'd like to invite myself on your show on November 14th, if possible, in person.
You're in. I don't even have to look at the schedule. You're in. Let's do it.
All right. I'm driving up to BC for the game that night against UMass, and I just need a couple hours to kill before the game.
Let's do it.
Is that a Nesson game, Johnny?
Yeah. Thursday night, UMass at BC on the 14th. So I'll be driving up to Boston, and maybe I could throw my suit on in studio and then drive to
Andrew
school.
Raycroft was busy that night, or what?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right.
He could be studio, though.
Buddy.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Thanks,
they don't do
Appreciate you guys.
All right. See you, Pete.
Awesome stuff. What was I going to say now? Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat.
He's got good humor, Pete. He like you could see like he's got
Oh,
good
he's the
humor.
best.
I like it.
I've been going on their show for a couple years. Like they're hilarious. Like the way those two think and the way that they like project their questions and interview style, no one else does it the way they do. Like it's so fucking hilarious. Like again, you'll see that clip later. If they posted of DJ asking Brad Marchand about getting booed in Boston, and Brad like took a second and was like, "Oh, that's good." Like he was like thinking about it for a minute, you know, and understood like what DJ was asking, and it was pretty hilarious to see his reaction. But other orders of business to get into. I mean, we don't really have much else on the docket to talk about. Anything on your mind that you wanted to get into? It's already 10:10. Holy shit, this show is flown.
No, it was good. I feel like we covered a lot. Don't we have
tonight's a big night? Tonight's a big night.
We have so we are gonna start our Cup of College Monday segment next week.
Credit Colton Davies for the name.
Credit Colton Davies. We will be joined next on Monday by Rand Pecknold. That's confirmed. We'll be doing like a 9:30, 9:45 segment every Monday. We'll try to bring on an NCAA coach or a player. So that is confirmed. Do we want to say, do we have confirmation, Vic, on our Thursday guest? Is that something we want to talk about now, or we want to continue to hold off on that? We will be joined by Jackie Redmond on Thursday. Vic gave me the green light to say that. So we'll have her Thursday. No idea what tomorrow will bring. We'll see what happens tonight, and we'll see if there's an appropriate guest to come on for tomorrow. But that's sort of the plans here to give you guys a little bit of a heads up over the next couple of days, and we'll go from there. So Johnny, why don't you go into the orders of business, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yes, I will just answer one question in the chat, and I'm sure you're going to want to talk about this too. From General Soreness, what did you think of Zeev Boyum last night after seeing him in person? Zeev is, for a 19-year-old, and we felt this way when he came on our show, that is the most mature 19-year-old kid I have ever met in my life. I got to talk to him after morning skate, and like he was taking an MSG for the first time, and he obviously like admired MSG. He talked about how much, he loved just walking the hallways, seeing all the cool pictures, seeing the people that have come through beforehand. But also quarterbacking their top unit with Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy. And I have to give those two credit. Obviously on this show, Colby, we joked that I'm a Minnesota Wild hater. Got a huge hug from Chris Kelleher last night in the press box. Obviously, he's one of my favorite people in all of hockey. But watching Kaprizov and Boldy together, the two of them, they're special, man. Like, as far as dynamic duos go, I don't think it's a stretch to put them up with, like, the McDavid, Draisaitl, the McKinnon, Rantanen in the past. Like, those two can dominate. They look the Rangers D. They made the Rangers D look stupid last night many times. And Matt Boldy, we talked about Nazar's contract yesterday and what that's going to look like, Colby, in a few years. But Matt Boldy is getting $7 million flat. He signed a $7 million contract for how many years? I think for 7 years, 7 by 7. So in 2 years, that contract might look ridiculous too. I mean, Matt Boldy he's becoming one of the, stars in the NHL. But watching those two in person last night was definitely a treat.
Felt like during the Four Nations last year, you really started to see this guy come out. And you know what I love too? Like, I'll just quickly say this before you do bet. Look at the guys who signed big contracts. Like, Marner got a big contract. He's off to a great start this year. Jack Eichel, he gets his contract. Oh man. Kirill Kaprizov, that doesn't look like a guy who's like, all right, I get paid. Time to throw it into third gear. Like, this guy's like, nope, I got paid. I got all this money. People are calling me this or that. I'm going to go to a whole nother fucking level. So I just like seeing these guys who are signing these big deals, are just going up and up and up, and they're pedal to the metal. And I really can appreciate that, because I'm sure with these new contracts comes a lot of pressure and a lot of, eyeballs and spotlights, and seeing these guys really go to another level. I think it's great. I think it's great for the game. And I truly do love to watch it. I mean, again, I stayed up late last night just because I wanted to see as much of Jack Eichel as I could. And the level that he's playing at, it's like when McDavid's going and you're like, you got to stay up late to watch him, because he's just playing at a level that is going to wow you every other shift. So we've got good stuff going on the early runnings of the season. There's some teams that are surprising us. There's some teams that are not surprising us. I guess you could say surprising us for good or for bad. So we'll just keep moving along here. So Jonny, let's get to our last order of business here, and let's call it here.
All right, to get to Bet365, everyone knows by now, whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. You must be 19 or older. I do just want to highlight some great matchups tonight. Devils at Toronto, obviously a Sheldon Keefe return to Toronto. Panthers Bruins is the game that we're going to talk about. Brad Marchand, anytime goal scorer. It is plus 165 on Bet365, and I think we've hit now 4 bets in a row. Rangers unders at home seem to be a lock every game, so we'll keep riding that hot hand when they're home. That's the bet of the night, but again, 10 games tonight. Panthers Bruins, certainly a must-watch with Marchand's return. I'd say Devils Maple Leafs is another game to definitely tune into. Oilers Senators, Edmonton's on a bit of a skid, and maybe Shane Pinto can keep the hot hand rolling. And
I hope he does.
I
hope he does. I'd love to see that kid get paid. I mean, after the whole gambling situation, and
he's the best too.
Cost him some money, great personality, plays the game the right way. Like, just never cheats offensively, but he still produces. He takes hard matchups. Like he's a guy you can win with, in my opinion. That's what he kind of says to me, is that, you have me on your team. You're building properly.
I'll tell you what too, Colby. Do you have to go, by the way?
Kind of, yeah, but that's all right. Tell me what you want to tell me.
There's 2 things about the Sharks that I just wanted to ask about. One, the Sharks play the Islanders tonight. The Sharks still looking for their first win. If the Sharks lose again tonight and then go into MSG on Thursday and give the Rangers their 5th straight loss for their first win of the season, Ranger fans will freak the fuck out. And that would actually be like a storyline that could be interesting going into it. But I felt so bad for Ryan Warsofsky having to apologize about his comment about giving a kid up. Like, that was insane. Yeah, that was insane.
The guy is having a passionate moment. He's making a joke, and look how everyone got their oh my God.
I was laughing with Steve Boyle, actually.
The fact that he actually had to apologize for it, like, what are we doing? He obviously isn't giving up one of his kids. I've seen Ryan with his kids. He's a very loving father. He comes from a very loving family. His wife was probably laughing, and his family was probably laughing, and naturally, the snowflake brigade was all up in arms about it. And so that's what you get. I mean, honestly, I don't even want to give it any more air.
Yeah.
The whole thing was absolutely fucking stupid. But yeah. So let's go San Jose, get some wins. Let's get Ryan Warsofsky some wins. Time for Macklin Celebrini to pick it up here, because too much of a spectator. I don't care what his points say. Too much of a spectator in the early going. Make sure you like this episode on your way out the door today. I know we had a pretty big audience today, so we love you and we appreciate you for all of that. Let's get some likes going, though, and let's make sure we leave comments on the YouTube stream once we're done being live. We will take a look at those things, and we will hopefully have some good topics for tomorrow based on what I'm laughing at. You would give up your kid, Jonny, to get some wins. I wouldn't even give up Jonny, my 3rd child. No way. As much as I beat him up every day, he's still mine. All right. I'm still not giving him up for any types of wins. Okay, Karen, if you're listening, I won't give him up. I won't.
Can I get one quick shout out in too?
Yeah, do it.
I just wanted to shout out Dylan LaPresti, who's always in our chat every morning. I met him last night at the Ranger game. Very nice to come up to the press box and say what up. So if anyone is listening that is at MSG ever and you want to meet up in person, can always come up to the press box in between periods. It's right on the Chase Bridge, easy access. But it was nice meeting someone who listens to our show and someone whose name I see every day. Like that's the beauty of the show too. We always talk to you guys and whatnot.
Someone came up to me in Johnstown, PA. I had one of our chat members come up to me in Johnstown, PA. We had a Titans game there, and he came up to me as I was on my way out to the ice. And I've seen him in our chat since, but I was like, that is good old shout out Johnstown, PA, for that one. So
I'm honestly afraid to meet MYR Marine in person, though. I don't think I could do it.
He might beat you.
He might give me a noogie.
He might just kick the shit. Him and David Roth might just kick your ass.
Oh, David Roth, no chance. Yeah, he'd kill me.
He would definitely kick your ass if he saw you. It would just be, and then he would hug you after he beat you up. I think New York Marine and David Roth, I think both of them would give you a hug after they kicked your ass.
Yeah, they would.
All right.
All right. And the show.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, we hope everybody has a good day. A lot of good hockey. Leave the likes, leave the comments, hit the automatic downloads. He said New York Marine, like we got to get out of the show. We can't keep coming back to you, chat. We love you, but we can't keep coming back to you. Get the automatic downloads, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, super important. Get the audios going, get the YouTube comments going. Let's keep pushing the show. Thanks to Pete and Elliotte today. They were great guests. Took us through quite a bit of the show. Busy week the rest of the week. We'll keep you guys posted. And other than that, everybody, we hope you have a good day, and we'll see you right back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a good one.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cuppa Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.